Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop. All the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Hi folks, Cesar here. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have a great show tonight. We're going to take a look back at 2014. We've got some special folks lined up here, and you're going to want to stay around to the last segment. We've got something really special lined up for that last and final section. But with me in our first section, we've got my good friend, grassroots activist, Ben Zuhl. He's joined me in the studio here. We're going to take a look back at, Ben, welcome to one of the big issues we both agree is huge in this country. And you and I had talked about it, right. And basically, wow.
Public safety.
Yeah, I mean, where does this kind of all stand today, as you see it?
In Virginia?
Yeah, give me Virginia. Let's talk about the state.
The nation, nothing is happening.
Yeah.
But in states, there are some good things happening, some bad things happening. In Virginia, we're holding the line. Pretty much. We're still you can have a person who has been convicted of a domestic violence crime have guns because some of our legislators would refuse to let it get to even to the floor of the House of Delegates.
Right, so let's just recap for the folks real quick that this year we're looking at whether or not the issue of the safety measures that we talked about actually progressed or were stifled. And if folks don't know, they need to be aware of this issue in terms of it affects them.
Right.
They're not aware that this is affecting them. So in the House, in the General Assembly, we've got laws that are put forward, laws that are either ignored or voted on that specifically deal with who can and cannot possess weapons. And it's really a free-for-all, right?
Not only possess weapons, but what kind of weapons.
Yeah.
Last year, the House of Delegates actually passed a bill that would have made it easier for people to get bazookas, hand grenades, landmines, rocket-propelled grenades, surface-to-air missiles.
Right. Now, just for the folks at home, you need to kind of understand this piece. So in the General Assembly, there are members of the House of Representatives, either by being complacent or not speaking against, they are advocating for certain individuals to be able to possess those types of firearms, correct?
That's the outcome of what they voted on.
Right.
If the Senate hadn't stopped it, it would have made it easier for people and all kinds of people to get those kind of weapons. Right. There's a lot of other issues that were brought up, such as having you get a concealed weapons permit and having it become lifetime instead of having to be renewed every 5 years. And that means that if your situation changes, you're no longer considered to be worthy of having the concealed weapon.
This is in Virginia.
They never check it. Yes.
This is in Virginia. Right.
They never check it.
Right.
And
how are people not aware of this, Ben? What is this something explicitly? I mean, how is it that the average person? Because if I talk to my neighbors, they're not aware of these conditions or these open sort of free-for-all capabilities for an individual to carry just about anything.
Well, it's in Virginia, you don't even have to have hands-on experience training with a weapon to get a concealed carry permit. You can do it all online. But people don't know this because they don't look for it. It's not put on the front pages of the newspapers, and so people would have to look to find these things. And most people don't have time to do that.
Now that it's a deeper question for me. I mean, it's kind of philosophical in terms of what is it about the safety issue, the gun safety measures, that just don't resonate with people to do anything about. We hear all the time on the news, and we see things where either guns were used or someone possessed a gun illegally, or someone obtained through some measures, or it was brought to the gun show, so it's okay. We have domestic violence, in terms of when weapons are used, but it still doesn't seem to resonate with the average person. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Okay, good. Well, that's the problem, right?
Right.
No one seems to be able to make the connections. And for me, I think it goes back and speaks to kind of the culture, a little bit of what we've been conditioned
That could be
to accept.
Yeah.
I mean, I see something on the news, it's pretty depressing. Someone either like has emotional issues, and they've shot some people, generally family members, and we see that and we go, oh, well,
again. Yeah, that used to get play on the in the mass media all the time when that kind of thing happened, and it would be, not only would it be reported on, but then people would talk about why it happened and what can be done to stop it from happening again. And now it's happened so frequently that we kind of say, oh well, another one.
Yeah, but that's got to frustrate folks like yourself, right?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, and so I'm just trying to get to sort of a point where we can see a path to progress on this issue, because it seems like every year we go forward just a little bit, and then things slow down, or they regress
go back a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, in Virginia, we need to change our House of Delegates.
okay. So how many votes do we need there? Probably like 30, right?
Yeah. Well,
So-
no, we need to change 15, I think, to get
15.
to. Yeah, if they.
Yeah. Okay. So for the folks at home, if you have a representative, this is an issue you should probably ask them about, where they stand on safety measures regarding firearms.
Most people in Virginia, according to the polls, are in favor of closing the gun show loophole. Like 88% in favor of that, are in favor of keeping guns out of the hands of people who've been convicted of domestic violence.
Let's talk about that one a little bit. Okay, so again, for the folks at home, they need to understand that if you're charged, if you're convicted, in some cases, you can still possess your firearm.
Right. On the laws in Virginia now, you can't transport it or buy a weapon, but you can have it in your possession if you already had it.
Right. So
Yeah,
think
so-
about that. Okay.
It makes no sense.
Right. So it could be a domestic violence charge. It could be any one of a number, not just misdemeanors, correct?
No, yeah, the misdemeanors is what is not included. If it's a felony conviction, then they are not allowed, because any felony will do that.
Okay. So there are some, we'll call them loopholes for now, for possession. But people don't know that.
Right.
So thank you for informing them. What else? What's next on the if you could like paint a vision of sort of a path, where else do we need to go? Because we need to change.
We need to close the gun show loophole, and right now you can, even if you are a convicted felon, you can walk into a gun show, and there'll be dealers there that advertise this, that you don't need to have an ID check, a background check to buy from them. So you can go up to them, buy your gun, cash, and get out and then go commit your crime.
So again, for the people at home, think about this process. Think about this. You have an individual, they've been charged, they've been convicted, either in the state or in another state. They can walk into a show in Virginia and purchase whatever's available to them. There is nothing that can prevent that today from happening. So ask your House of Delegate representative when they go to the General Assembly how they're going to vote on this issue.
Right, there could be a table right next to each other. One is a licensed dealer, and if the felon goes to him, he'd get arrested to buy the gun. But if he goes to the table next to it where he's not a federal dealer and
Licensed and
right, doesn't have the license, but is selling guns there at the gun show, he can buy a gun, walk out.
So some people would say that regulation's bad. Some people would tell you, under some guise of less government intrusion into privacy. But it's not. This is pretty common sense legislation to make sure that criminals do not obtain, purchase weapons by any means. So it's a good thing. That part of regulation is a good thing. I think most people would sit down and think it through. They would have to agree that that's not Big Brother.
Right.
Okay.
And the one gun a month law,
right,
that was repealed by our legislature a couple of years ago.
Right.
And the results of that came in 2014. We found that Virginia is the biggest exporter on the East Coast of guns used in crimes.
Yeah. So again, for the folks at home, think about this. You have circumstances where buying 12 guns a year isn't enough for some people. And for some people that have issues, criminal issues, they can continue to buy more than 12 guns a year. In fact, they can buy as many guns as they're capable of every week, every month, and every year. Big issue, right?
Right. Again, it's an issue that most people, if they're polled, would be for.
And most people are.
Yes.
If you sit down and talk to people about this issue and explain it to them, you probably do a better job of explaining it to them than I would, but they get it. They understand that these aren't crazy, oppressive, restricted laws. We're just trying to take guns away or not allow anyone that has a history of criminal activity to purchase guns. I think it's a good move. Folks, Ben, thank you. I think you'll be back in a later section. Folks, we'll be right back with our next guest. Thanks for tuning.
This year, 28,000 Americans will be diagnosed with oral cancer. Every year, 7,000 Americans die of oral cancer.
I'm Eva Cohen, and I'm an oral cancer survivor. I didn't fit the profile. I didn't smoke or drink. I had no family history of cancer, no family history of cancer. I was 31 years old. 31 years old. I went to see my dentist about a sore in my mouth that wouldn't heal. It was oral cancer. I had to have a radical neck dissection and a portion of my tongue reconstructed. I didn't know if I was going to live or die.
I'm Surgeon General Richard Carmona. The survival rate for oral cancer is only 50%. Oral cancer can happen to anyone. If you have a sore or lesion in your mouth that doesn't heal within 2 weeks, see your dentist. Early detection is the key.
Early detection saves lives. I know.
1 in 8 Americans goes hungry. One idea helped change that. A community started a garden that blossomed into farmers markets. 1 in 6 children lives in poverty. One group of women found an answer by opening a daycare center that their neighbors could afford. Today, 36 million Americans live in poverty. But one by one, people are helping themselves and each other to change the picture of poverty to one of hope. For easy ways you can help, visit povertyusa.org.
2 words for you. Pop quiz. Ready? Name any funny movie. A drama. Name a mystery. And one more thing. Name the movie your kids saw today in science class.
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school. And know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Hi folks, Cesar here. Welcome back to our second segment. We've got a special guest joining me here in the studio. My producer, I know who you are. Handed me his card. But before we get to Mr. Southworth, we're going to thank you for joining us here in the studio, by the way. We're going to talk about a couple issues. We were looking back at 2014. And one of the things I think that affected the country, the culture of our nation, is the legalization of marijuana in a lot of states.
Well, you know, I have the rare pleasure of sitting in that control room twice each week for the various shows we do. Yep. So I probably get bombarded with more facts, statistics, and quotes on the subject.
Yeah. So how's this going to affect us? I mean, just speculate out.
What it looks like is the decriminalization, in particular, is going to make it has already started. It created a whole new industry. I mean,
some examples.
Well, for example, I mean, just the basic, all the different kinds of marijuana, and all the different ways of preparing it. Many of which have very significant medicinal purposes, that they're allowing them a whole new set of comfort drugs, if you want to call it that.
So can we thank the Don't Tread on Me crowd for kind of like pushing this forward? Let people be free and
some of that.
Okay.
Some of that from them, but then there's those same people you talk to, the Tea Party types, that will turn around and say, well, wait a minute. We may agree with some regulation, especially where it fosters criminal activity. And that's what they look at this as. A lot of the same arguments that were used back with alcohol, back in Prohibition days.
Sure.
It's just a different drug of choice.
I like my moonshiners, for the record. Those are good guys up there.
But the bottom line is that the decriminalization is hopefully we can empty some of our prisons.
Here in D.C.,
yep.
The House is thinking about blocking the home rule.
But they've been blocking everything. It's almost like there's no real logical or good sense to this.
How does this affect our culture as a country?
Unfortunately, I think it's taken us several notches down in the world, where they're seeing that many aspects of our democracy have gotten tangled up in a big knot. It seems as though at least one side, and the one that just won heavily, has been in the situation of just saying no. No matter what it is, no matter what the subject is, because they don't want to give credit to anyone who has been in office doing something significant, like our president.
But the legalization or decriminalization of marijuana, people voted for that.
Yeah.
Right? The voters went to the polls and they said yes to this legislation. And
for us to not honor the will of the public is, I think, in itself criminal to some degree.
No, absolutely. I'm trying to get sort of like the insight on, as a country, as a culture, as we move forward. Obviously, we want progression. We certainly value liberal views. But I think you're right. You hit it. It kind of says something about where we are and where we're going, that we would need something like that.
And also, quite frankly, to live to what we profess. And I don't always see that that's being the case at the moment. And I'm not even really sure that I have a good reason why it's not. It's almost like maybe it's that our representatives are a little too old. They're just that half generation past. And the ones coming next are very supportive of the legalization of marijuana in particular.
Yeah. You would think that with the whole baby boomer generation, having been influenced, and the 60s were a decade of a lot of change. A lot of shall we say, expression, a lot of creativity, a lot of unhinging of shackles, emotional and psychological, happened during the 60s for a lot of people.
Now, I did hear one thing interesting, I think on the radio today on the news, in that where we have a real good handle, generally speaking, of what blood alcohol level a person is impaired by. We don't have that with marijuana at this time.
Well, not yet.
No, well, not yet. No, and even then, what the index would be, how many puffs, or how you would read some of this stuff out on a blood level basis without the right, very specialized equipment. So this is it's another challenge.
Jim, I think I have faith that you'll invent some sort of optical scanner that will certainly be able to pinpoint that. Speaking of technology,
yes, sir.
Can we talk about technology a little bit?
We certainly can.
I mean, I just, for the folks at home, Mr. Southward here is the producer of our shows, and he is responsible for getting us a lot of the equipment we get in here and the facilities to help bring you this show. So I wanted to bring you on and let you have some time to talk about some of the passion you have here.
Well, I've just been reelected for another 3-year term.
Congratulations.
To the board of directors this past summer, late summer. And I've been here, since I've been here, as I said, 12, 13 years, we've gone through a real metamorphosis of the capabilities. We are probably now technically the most sophisticated public access station in the country, with no exception. We have 3 fully equipped digital video studios that are capable of just about anything the major networks are. We have, in addition to that, 2 completely automated and computerized audio studios that are used both for radio content as well as for voiceover and sound production and so on. But in addition to that, we have all the portable and external equipment that we can do this in the field.
So what can the folks look forward to in 2015?
Right now there's a major push, and over the next 3 weeks, the first major upgrade to HD will take place. Our cameras that we're working with in this studio tonight are already HD. The cameras in our Studio A are now also already HD.
So that means the folks at home, you'll be able to catch us HD when you see us, right?
Well, actually, like you will have the dual channels for the major networks, there'll be a new channel that'll be turned up that'll be public access television in HD. And with that will come a lot of new capabilities as well. And we're really excited about it. It's not for the faint of heart. We've had to go through hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of upgrades on all sorts of everything that's associated, not just the cameras, but everything that makes it possible to make that video feed find its way into someone's home. And via fiber optics, via some of them, again, very sophisticated conversion and interface equipment that allows us to operate both in standard resolution as well as now higher definition.
So from a funding perspective, Fairfax residents should be feeling pretty good about
absolutely.
Investments.
We get a few cents off everybody's cable bill under the PEG grants, which stands for Public, Educational, and Government, PEG. And we've been getting that for now upwards of 30 years. And we've been, I think, very good stewards of that, and have put together a organization that has sufficient flow and sustenance to sustain itself.
And for the folks that want to check out the studio, can they just come down and tour it?
Well, we actually do several ways that's possible. Generally speaking, small groups we can accommodate through some of the producers, but we also at least once, sometimes twice to 3 times a month, we have orientations where they can sign up in advance. They can call here at the studio, and that would be let's see, the phone number here would be...
You know what's on your business card?
Yep.
703? No, that's not it.
The 571-749.
There you go.
1100.
There you go.
During normal business hours, and ask for when the next orientation is, and they'll be glad. They'll get the full tour. They'll get the full understanding of all the pieces. We do over 50 different curricula here.
And that's the thing, folks can also volunteer for some of these.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
We are always looking for new volunteers, a chance to learn. Sitting in the control room tonight, we've got some success stories, people that have gone on, and some from kids right out of high school, and some kids right to honor students in college.
That's huge for parents. You've got kids at home, teenagers. If you want them to have some exposure, some really cool technology, this field, have them visit the website and check out volunteering opportunities, correct?
Absolutely, and if they want to go further than that and even produce their own content. They don't do,
or host a show.
Well, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I mean, look what's happened with you, sir.
Yeah, well, I was walking through one day and someone grabbed me and sat me down here.
Absolutely.
So,
and we have been absolutely blessed within our organization, the Inside Scoop crew as such, that does a lot of live shows as opposed to the just pre-taped.
Sure. And these are all live, by the way.
Yeah,
folks don't know that. There's no outtakes, there's no cuts. This is just straight live.
And that brings a whole new level of challenge.
Sure. Can't be shy, and you got to be a little creative on your feet.
Absolutely, and to that end, it also allows us to have direct interaction with our membership and our viewers. Mm-hmm. So we have an open phone lines, we have an open blog, we have an email address. Right in the middle of any of these shows, things come in on a regular basis. We make it available to the host, and for you, it pops up on one of the monitors, showing you the teleprompter, for example.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So,
well, I definitely want to make sure we let the folks at home know that the diverted tax dollars are being put to great use, and there's so much that's here that's so impressive. I encourage you to call up the studio, come take a visit, and think about volunteering opportunities, because this is a great place to spend some time.
We've also done one other thing here too, just to mention for a second. One of the big things about why we've been so successful is we've been able to blend seamlessly telecommunications of the internet and IT and otherwise all together. We actually have almost 500 servers in our computer rooms upstairs.
500. Well, you know what, folks? We're going to go count those during our next break. I want to thank Mr. Southworth for coming on. I wanted to make sure you folks at home got the chance to meet him. We'll be back in our next segment, and thanks for coming back.
Around the world, 1 out of every 3 women will be beaten or otherwise abused in their lifetime, often by a family member or loved one. A future free from violence. It's all she's ever wished for.
Did you know you have the power to stop children from joining gangs? You can help a father find a job and home for his family. You can assist a woman who can't afford the medicine she needs to live and the home she can't live without. You can choose to make a difference in our community. Support Volunteers of America, and you can help improve the lives of nearly 2 million Americans each year with programs and services that help individuals and families overcome their challenges to become as independent as possible. Support the programs that are working in our community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
For some folks, saving for the future is easy, but for you, it might take a little more effort. Saving for your future is your responsibility, and there's a lot to save for.
I never thought of that.
Like your child's education, perhaps uncovered medical expenses, or just to be sure you can live the way you want when you retire. The time is now to save for tomorrow. Save now or work forever. The choice is yours. Choose to save.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Hi folks, Cesar here. Welcome back for our third segment. I wanted to also talk a little bit about 2014 and the job market. The economy is certainly booming for a lot of folks. Gas prices are down. Things seem to be pretty good out there on the surface, but I wanted you to get a firsthand sort of opinion and view from my next guest, Chris Gabriel, a job hunting individual, right? That's what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
So for the folks at home, how long have you been looking? How long, what's it like out there?
Since August.
Okay.
I look for, there are many ways to look for work. Mostly the job boards are good, posting your resume.
Because everything looks great out there. I mean, it's like
does.
hiring, record profits, and what are you seeing?
What I'm seeing is desirable jobs at firms opening up after a cycle again. And it seems, because I watch the boards, I get alerts from the jobs. There's also there's a buffer between the actual job, the people that you're going to work with. There's several layers. There's HR, there's recruiters.
Right.
A lot of these people are the recruiters, in particular, in my experience, they don't have the experience of what it takes to work in that particular job. They have a basis level of experience, and in interviews I have, I generally, personally, my interview closure rate is very high, but I'm getting more telephone interviews.
Is it with the hiring manager or more recruiters or HR?
More recruiters.
Okay.
But typically years ago, the way to get a great job was you knew someone or you contacted the person, or if you knew someone at a company, it still bodes now, but if you know someone in a company and you talk to the person you'd actually be working with, that is mostly gone nowadays.
Yeah, because to your point, there are these buffers, but they're specifically designed that way.
Right.
So otherwise you'd have 1,000 people calling this one individual, hey, I'm your person, right?
Right.
So the process has been sort of set up to kind of like keep people on. How many phone calls, weekly, daily, interviews, weekly, monthly? I mean, what are you feeling? What are you seeing there?
Interviews right now have dried up a bit.
For the holidays.
For the holidays, right. Typically, if I get an interview a week is really good. Sometimes I have two. It may be personal criteria. I'm becoming less and less picky as time goes on. And
have you said no to some offers, or?
Well, no. Actually, there are offers of work that with some companies, but there's no pay. So, in other words, you have to begin to either have to have business to bring in, or a budget where you can work for nothing until you can build a business. If you don't have anything to build in to bring.
And if I can ask, what sort of segment or industry or positions are you targeting?
The financial industry primarily, which is where the basis of my career has been. But as far as finding work, sometimes you never know. You can meet the right person. It can develop from the best jobs I've gotten. Some were over the years were just by chance, but regionally in this area, it seems like there's a lot of people coming in and leaving.
Right. Well, it's known for being transient.
Right.
So, but
why? I mean, if there's this stress on building a career, why is there this cycle that I'm noticing of people, of these jobs opening up again and again and again?
So here's my theory. There's a lot more like 1099s contracting work being done.
Right.
As opposed to a company, and I think this may be another discussion topic, but I think there's such an emphasis on profits now. The result is you have record earnings. Everyone's reporting record profits. But it doesn't seem to be trickling down to the workers. Because I, as an organization, as a company, I can contract some workers. To your point, pay them nothing.
Right.
Not burden me with the insurance, healthcare costs.
Right.
For each person, because that's probably another 30, 40, 50% on the salary. Instead, I can pay them next to nothing, keep my costs down, and then, it's project to project. I'll lay them off. And what I think happens is you've got a lot of people that do flow in here. They'll take the 1099 work, they'll deal without insurance coverage, and then they go somewhere else where they can potentially find something more permanent. That's just, I have no data to substantiate that. That's what I've seen on the surface. That's my guess of what's happening out there. Because you do have a lot of these companies hiring, and then there's a lot of turnover.
Right, there's no benefits or minimum benefits. Right, exactly. But for what I've seen, even the salary jobs are in my industry, in the financial industry, it's like they want the company wants a lot more for nothing.
Right.
At first.
Yeah, and to the folks at home that they're not familiar, you've got to bring in your own book of business, your own clientele.
Right.
Just again, it's almost like you have to bring them business before they'll pay you.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. It's really tough to find, and there's something with the work ethic, because I've worked for full commission, which is every day you come in, your paycheck is zero. And you say, all right, how am I going to make, you have to make a paycheck.
Yeah, what's going to make me money today?
Which in my business is it's really not conducive for placing assets and finding the right suitable investments for people if you've got that burn of I've got to make some money here.
Right.
Okay.
Let me sell anything.
Well, there's also that with a salary job, because typically there are targets to make, and if you don't make them, then you're not there.
Sure.
So trying to make the right choice and doing the right thing for the client versus keeping your job, it's a tough. I mean, these machinations go on, with each and every person that sits in front of you, unless you want to take a stand and do your own thing, starting your own business, in other words. But you need a book of business.
Right. How many folks do you talk to that are kind of in your same boat? I mean, is it specifically, you think, to the industry or just in general? Because I know a lot of people that are out of work still, and they're just hanging on. And I can't understand, I can't figure out where the disconnect is there. So what are you seeing out there?
I think that when I started my career, I'll give you an example. I was enamored with the business card, my name on the card. Oh, great! I've got a great job with a big corporation, and and a paycheck, and it was.
Excuse me.
If I look back, when I look back on it now, really, those weren't the important things. You know what I mean? When you start out. So the point I'm trying to make is, typically you're not attractive if you're middle. In the middle of your career, you don't have a book of business, so to speak, and you're not willing to work for peanuts.
Right.
Because someone with experience can command a certain price of a salary or benefits or whatever the case may be. So the people that I talk to are finding, it's who you know. You have to connect with that person. You have to connect with the interviewer, and you have to know what to say and how to say it.
I think you're hitting
put the odds in your favor.
I think you're hitting on a couple things that maybe I'll bring you back and we'll talk about this in a more deeper context. there is such pressure from shareholders, quarterly earnings reports, that organizations now don't look at long-term viability, quite frankly.
Right.
It's a quarter-to-quarter zero-sum game.
Yep.
It's binary. We were successful this quarter, it's the end of the world. And I think that is really driving a lot of this sort of decision making, whether or not to hire people or not, and really the type of people. You know, there seems to be, certainly in Northern Virginia, there's a lot of people looking for jobs, and there's only a few jobs available in a certain skill set. And that's the other thing too. It used to be, you know, the industry of, let's say, accounting. You could pretty much count on certain sort of career path.
Right.
But all these other technologies, there's people coming either from overseas or doing things remotely or coming out of school that, quite frankly, they'll take a much, much lower salary than someone with some wisdom, some experience. And companies don't look at it long term. They just look at that short term sort of you know, balance sheet.
Well, I think that companies need to invest more in their people, and you know, and you know, when you stay with a company, you become you get to know the way the company works, and there's an association with, you know, a fulfillment with working with a company instead of from here to there and chasing a higher paycheck or whatever the reasons are that you move. You know.
Interesting. I saw somewhere the average tenure of a CEO was around 24 months.
Right, they come in, they're hired to do a job,
Like,
the board of directors hires them to do a job, they get their job done, they get their package,
I mean,
and they're on to the next. Somebody else recruits them out of there.
Yeah.
Or they,
it's like here in Washington, we have a football head coach every like couple years. You cannot build a long-term organization, economy with people changing, jumping ship that frequently. I don't know why people don't understand that. As a business owner, you would never bring in someone for maybe a year or two and then change them out if you have a long-term plan.
Right.
Right. You may only be in business for 10, 20, 50 years, but I mean, you got to think long-term on that.
Yeah, but if you're an established company, I mean, if I were an established company owner or manager, I'd want my people to be experienced because they're putting forth the values and the, you know, the vision of the company. They're representing, they're many representatives of the company.
Sure. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on, giving us your sort of ground level feel of what the job market looks like and validating whether or not this economy is going to keep growing. Folks, thank you for coming back. We'll be back soon.
Around the world, 1 out of every 3 women will be beaten or otherwise abused in their lifetime, often by a family member or loved one. A future free from violence. It's all she's ever wished for.
Did you know you have the power to stop children from joining gangs? You can help a father find a job and home for his family. You can assist a woman who can't afford the medicine she needs to live and the home she can't live without. You can choose to make a difference in our community. Support Volunteers of America, and you can help improve the lives of nearly 2 million Americans each year with programs and services that help individuals and families overcome their challenges to become as independent as possible. Support the programs that are working in our community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
For some folks, saving for the future is easy, but for you, it might take a little more effort. Saving for your future is your responsibility, and there's a lot to save for.
I never thought of that.
like your child's education, perhaps uncovered medical expenses, or just to be sure you can live the way you want when you retire. The time is now to save for tomorrow. Save now or work forever. The choice is yours. Choose to save.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Hi folks, Cesar here for the last segment. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us this past year. 2014 has certainly been a memorable year. I wanted to take this last segment to really pay tribute to our volunteers. You heard a little bit about it from Mr. Southworth in our second segment, but I wanted to dedicate this last segment to the folks that, quite frankly, this show does not happen without. So I'm going to ask them to come on here, and for the folks at home, this is sparkling cider, so nothing crazy going on here. And I'm going to introduce the folks. I heard someone say shucks out there. I'm going to introduce the folks and just have them come on, introduce themselves, and let them tell you a little bit of what they do. And I wanted you to kind of get to know them. So standing here, Sarah Ward. Sarah. Where's Sarah?
Sarah's not coming on.
Sarah's not coming on, I'm told. Okay, there you have it.
Well, we do have her protege.
Donna Ballard, come on. Donna, what do you, say hi to the folks out there.
Hi, folks.
And what do you do here? What do you do here?
I do makeup. And
where's your little brush? You want to show people? No, that's okay. That's okay. Right. So this is Donna, folks. Why don't you have a seat? Next is Raphael. Come on out, bud. Come on out. Introduce yourself. Tell the folks what you do here.
All right. Bring it up on mic 3.
Okay.
I'm Raphael Arancibia, and I'm just a great volunteer over here with the Fairfax Public Access crew for the Inside Scoop and Emerald Planet, and I do a lot of technical production and associate executive producing, which means I'm a glorified gopher. I help make sure that trains run on time. And
so when you hear the term the GG, that's Raph. Okay. Next we've got Nate. Nate Jones. Come on out. Where's Nate? Nate, say hi to the folks at home.
Hey everyone, my name is
Get in camera. Get in camera. There you go.
Get on camera.
There you go.
I'm on mic 2, by the way, the sound person out there. I do a lot of jobs here, either sound directing or floor directing, which means I sit right off the camera there and tell him how much time we have left in the show or in the segment. So I'll be about to hold this up, and I'll keep holding this up for you.
Right. So thank you, Nate. Who else we got out there? Carrie, are you going to get away from the keyboard? She's saying no. How about Jim? Jim, can you come back out here, Jim?
10 minutes.
Jim
10
Southworth.
minutes.
Come on back out here. Tell the folks a little bit more in detail what you do.
Duties. Well, I've got to be the chief rabble-rouser on some of this, but the team is amazing. I mean, these people put on 100 live shows a year with all the pre-production and post-production. It takes a lot, but they're here and they do it, and they're religious about it. It's been amazing.
Well, thank you, Jim. Who else do we have in studio who wants to come on out? Dan? Dan Keller's here. All right, folks. Dan is here. Dan,
hi.
Get in camera.
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Dan Kelleher. I'm another sound engineer tonight.
And what does that mean, by the way? Dan?
It means I work the soundboard and make sure we can hear you.
And that would be important, I suppose.
Yes.
Well,
it is a very important job.
Dan, thank you so much for what you do. And again, folks at home, all these folks volunteer. All these folks give of their personal time.
9 minutes. 9 minutes.
There you go. 9 minutes. And it does not happen without them. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. All right, who else we've got in studio?
Feeling a little green right now. Feeling a little green.
All right, who else is in studio?
Here still.
All right, let's bring them on back.
Go ahead and bed for a second. Yeah.
So this next guest. And they're painting us green here. He serves a little bit of everything. He's certainly passionate about his grassroots, but he's also our official timekeeper. Ben Zool, introduce yourself again.
Hi, I'm Ben, and I...
His hat blending into the background.
Oh, too fun.
I wear a hat, and when I'm here, I'm usually in the control room doing whatever's needed to be done.
And this is all fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
We have a fun time here. So
Hopefully.
No, we do. Thank you.
8 minutes left.
Thank you so much for
Thank
what you do here.
I thought you were supposed to be the timekeeper.
He's the global timekeeper. So who else do we have in studio?
Can't get Sarah to come in.
Sarah?
You need to freshen up, Cesar.
Okay, well, Sarah, why don't you show the folks how you do that? Why don't you come on? So, folks, this
Demonstrate
is what,
the makeup, freshen up on
this
air.
is what happens in between these segments, those 2-minute segments. Sarah will come in here and do exactly what she's doing now. And she does a great job of this. And before you know it, I'm actually presentable. So thank you. Sarah, thank you. You didn't introduce yourself to the folks, but that's okay. So folks, I'm going to open up the apple cider and certainly think about, yeah, this is okay. Yeah, someone else do that. It's the wrong thing. So thank you. Raph is coming back. So on the tribute segment to the volunteers, folks, this studio is pretty impressive in terms of what we have here as far as equipment. Jim talked about that a little bit. We also have had the pleasure and the privilege, quite frankly, of being able to bring to you on a weekly basis the Inside Scoop. And I've been lucky, very lucky, to have been selected and been supported by a crew of folks that, quite frankly, are super special. And why you're zooming in like that is beyond me, folks, but they're actually having fun tonight. And I'm not sure you at home are still with us, but let me tell you, there are folks in the studio just having an absolute ball at my expense. And these folks will tell you that it's not always fun, but you should know at home, I do appreciate them, and I do take care of them. In fact, yes or no, every night after a show, I treat them and make sure they're taken care of here at our local establishment here. And I'll be doing that tonight as a thank you.
That won't be the non-alcoholic, though.
Right. But we'll leave that to another discussion. So, folks, again, I want to reiterate how important the volunteers and how much I appreciate them. And I would also do another plug for the Fairfax Public Access Station itself. If you're a county resident,
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Very good. I can stretch this out. And if you don't know at home, I do have 51 first cousins. So when you give me the mic, I can pretty much go through morning. Come on down here. Take a look and see what your investment has produced. It's something to be proud of. It is quite an impressive facility that we have here. And we certainly feel good about the folks that have been charged with the fiduciary responsibility, as well as setting the strategy and the vision of what this station will become. I think we've got a lot of things planned for 2015 and beyond. And quite frankly, I want to give a special shout out to the makeup ladies, because when we go HD, broadcasting, that's going to be more important to me than ever before. And so just 4 minutes. I got it, guys. Okay, so here's I've talked long enough. I want to give an official toast of our sparkling apple cider to the crew here at the Fairfax Public Access Studio C. Thank you so much for everything you've done in 2014, folks. Thank you.
Here.
Apple juice.
Carbonated apple juice.
Carbonated apple juice, that's right. So folks at home, again, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with us this evening, certainly. And we will certainly look forward to seeing you in the, oh, you didn't get a glass. Here you go. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's one. I thought he got one. Chris got one. And, okay, there we go.
And Cesar, for some of the Inside Scoop crew has a bunch of others that are members that aren't here tonight, like Jim Girardi, who's working on another production in D.C.
Oh, please,
and between Jim and Richard Morani, who's with his family in Florida, and several others, we've had the opportunity to really have some of the best talent that we could possibly find. These people are best in their fields in many other places, but they're here as volunteers. And then talking about hosts, you're one of our newest hosts. We have also been blessed with 6 others that are all highly trained, incredibly qualified, and doing a hell of a job for us.
How did I get so lucky to have the season-ending finale show? Thank you, Jim.
Well, you're more than welcome, sir.
We've been told by our director that we have to mention her, Carrie.
Well, I tried to get her out here. Carrie, come on, leave the keyboard.
She's
for
allergic
just a
to
second.
cameras, she says.
Okay, well, Carrie, again, thank you for all you do.
So, now we're looking, okay, inside 2-minute warning.
So, folks, this is actually how we do the show. These guys are constantly hitting me with countdowns. And it's quite amazing the way all this comes together. And folks, let's take them out. Let's do the countdown. We're under 2 minutes. We're coming up on 1:30. So folks, I'll get the notification. I'll get Nate over here on the side. He is flashing and waving his arms. It's time for me to cut off conversation or bring it to a close. And you can hear the countdowns now.
We're inside 20 seconds till we start into the credit roll, and then we'll, after that, about another 10 seconds of countdown, and we'll be then into the exit music roll.
So the whole time, I'm getting these constant reminders, and Nate's going to flash up the minute here in about 5 seconds, and then you'll start seeing the roll-ups on your screen. I'll get that. That's right. And then I'll keep talking, and hopefully the guest realizes that I'm talking, and I'm bringing them to a close. So I'll politely
10 seconds of credits.
bring them here. And this is exactly what I'll be hearing and seeing in the background.
Rolling credits in 3, 2, 1. Roll credits.
Okay.
There you have it. And then at this point,
stand by to roll music. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exit music.
Okay.
Folks, and that's been our show for the entire time we've done this. And again, a great look back at 2014 and the fun we've had here and how much fun we'll keep having in 2015, folks. So thank you so much for coming out and joining us, folks. It's been a pleasure.